Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about season 3 of the show, The Wheel of Time. Spoilers ahead. Fun fact, in the Wheel of Time books, there are 2,782 named characters. I struggled to remember the characters this season and had to write them down, and I just know I would have to keep extensive notes if I ever decided to read the books. This season came out in 2025 and stars Josha, Stradowski, Rosamund, Pike, and Madeline Madden and was developed by Rafe Judkins. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. The Wheel of Time Season 3 sees Ran, aka the Dragon Reborn, on a journey with Moraine, Lan, Avienda, and Egwene to prove to the Aiel that he is the Kar Khan. After the Black Aja revealed themselves in the White Tower, Suan, the Emerald Seat, tasked Nynaeve and Elaine with tracking them down, and Matt and Min tag along. All while this is happening, the Forsaken, Black Aja, and Aes Sedai are moving into place to either convince Rand to join them, control him, or kill him. The Wheel of Time is a fantasy show filled with magic and lots of lore. It has similar vibes to Game of Thrones, Avatar The Legend of Korra, or The Lord of the Rings. The Wheel of Time somehow keeps getting better and better. The story is interesting, and while it's confusing, I think they do a good job of explaining things so you can understand if you didn't read the books, or at least explain enough to get by. The show is like a chess game. There's so many moving pieces on the board. The actors were impressive too because not only do they have to give a performance as this character, or in Yosha's case, multiple characters, but you also have to learn all these new words for what to call different groups or locations or even just people's names, which can be a lot, but they do so well. Fantasy is hard, but the Wheel of Time is proving that you can get the right people and you can make it work. I will say I look up every character I hate to see their fate because I want to know if they are going to get taken out by someone I like or something because some of them deserve nothing good. Every time I do this, though, I do forget in like 2 days' time, but it's always fun in the moment. The season starts off with the trial of Liandrin, who is accused of being sworn to the shadows, a dark friend, but we as the viewers know that she actually is. When Swan moves to steal her, the other Black Aja members reveal themselves and an all-out battle breaks out. I thought this was cool to see because I didn't really like Liandrin and knew something was off, but it lets you know that she's willing to kill for her cause. This scene is also the perfect way to show that there is division in the White Tower, and it is not just Liandrin. Moraine is worried, but she technically is banished, so she can't go help the tower or her secret lover, but she does when she is almost crushed when the battle spills out into the city. Alana gets a moment to shine and pretty much takes on all the Black Aja, but in the process loses one of her warders. This was not only a fantastic opening, but also showed how there was doubt cast by these Black Aja, but now there is going to be doubt cast on the Aes Sedai because how did they not see this coming? They captured two, but there is a lot of physical damage, and we don't know how much of the remaining Aes Sedai have faith in Suan. There are many different Ajas. We have blue, green, white, brown, gray, yellow, and red. But this season gives us one that is not on the level of a Forsaken, but an evil version of the other Ajas, Black. I love how there are members from each Aja who are in this one as well, who have been waiting for their moment to shine. I wish the show dived a little bit more into how they are able to renounce their oaths to the Amyrlin and make new ones or live oathless. I love how they still keep wearing their colors, but there is a lot of distrust amongst them, which has and will continue to cause problems down the line. They go to Tanchico to go after a collar like the Shan Chen have that can cage a man with hopes of controlling Rand. Their numbers seem to be dwindling unless there are more of them due to Liandrin killing one whom she couldn't trust and Elaine killing one to defend an old friend. By the end of the season, Liandrin and the Black Aja have all the missing pieces and seem to be on their way to either get help from the Forsaken or find Rand, but it won't be easy considering Rand is very powerful. He is also, though, not alone, and she helped unlock Nynaeve's powers, who definitely will not be on her side. Another thing I was kind of wondering is that if the Aiel woman, I literally just blanked on her name, that was friends with Lan's family or knew who Lan was. I wonder if she considered Black Aja because she also works with like the Dark Ones, but they never really explain if she's considered Black Aja or just a dark friend. So it would be nice to like kind of figure out some of those terms and like what exactly they mean and if Black Aja and Dark Friend are the same thing or if they're separate. So I think the show would benefit from helping us understand the difference between some of those terms. I will say that while I do love this show, I still can't tell you the difference between the Ajas. I know for sure the green are battle Aja, red goes after male channelers, and yellow is healing. But the rest I'm a little clueless about. So I decided to do some research, and the Reds actually are supposed to be handling the misuse of the one power, which is not limited to men, but typically is men. Green is the Battle Aja, so I was right on that one. Browns gather and preserve knowledge. Yellow, like I said, is healing. Blue focuses on righteousness and justice. Gray is politics and mediation. White is logic and philosophy. And of course, black, who are dark friends, aka evil little snakes. The only ones who seem to be doing their jobs decently that the show has shown are the Greens, more specifically the absolute badass that is Alana, and the Yellow Aja, who are great at healing. The rest seem to be so embroiled in politics so much that they skirt their duties. I usually hate when a show with people with powers has someone lose their powers or show how they are powerful but underutilizes them. I think this show might be on the exception list because I didn't hate when Moraine was shielded and I don't hate Nynaeve having a block. I can't really tell if it's because I just love the characters too much, there's too much going on, or the story explains it in a way that just makes sense, but it could also just be all three of these. In the last season, Moraine gets her life together, and in this season, we find out more about Nynaeve's block, especially when Moghedien is in her head, and we learn that she is traumatized by the One Power, and it seems to stem from her time in the Arches. In a near death experience, she is able to reconcile with her life she saw in the Arches and fight for herself and show us why people keep saying she is so powerful in such a beautiful moment. That scene reminded me of a quote from Avatar, The Legend of Korra, where Spirit Aang says, "When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change." Because Nynaeve was literally at her lowest point because she was about to die, but also at the lowest point of the body of water that she was in. I think this show just balances the frustrations you feel wanting these people to be able to channel with an interesting story that makes you want to give them time to come to terms with whatever their situation is. The way they show channeling in this show, kind of like Wisp and the darkness and dark clouds when it's like evil people, is pretty cool. Some people we see one or the other, and I love with Rand, we see both to show the struggle he is always going through. I love how it's transparent when they are doing some things, like whatever globe thing Moraine was doing in the finale, or when Lanfear ends up shooting her at while she's doing that, which ends up sending Moraine flying. When we see how the Sa'angreal named Sakarnin was created, it's a beautiful display of magic. We see like these different like strands going into it. The show also shows with Moghedien how it can be very scary because she uses it to have people look like they are in a spider web, but mixed with blood and magic, and it's gross and creepy. The display of magic use always leaves me in awe, and I love how they switch up the style for different things. The choreography of the fights is so well done in this series. We get the first fight, and we see how the Black Aja come together and have like a protection circle while they are fighting, which was great organization, but also the way we see them using their powers with their hand movements is just so great to further show the different styles of fighting and power levels. Whenever Alana and her warders fight, we get cool choreography and even cooler if they're all together because then we'll see how well they mix the magic use that Alana is just throwing out at people with the use of swords and arrows. The Aiel fight even differently because of how they were raised, and they are extremely deadly, especially if you see them pull that piece of cloth over their nose, you're probably about to die. It's impressive how they not only choreograph all the different magic users, but then also do the same for people in different fights throughout the season using different weapons, like the beautiful episode of the Two Rivers defending their home. The Forsaken are such an interesting group of people because they don't operate out in the open. They pull strings from a distance and then every once in a while they come to the front lines. I love that we see this because we can see how manipulative they can be, but also how easy it is for them to slip in like Mohidian and really cause some damage. They are so manipulative that you might think one has been in your life forever, like in Elaine's case, which is not even true. In the case that you do come face to face with one, the show lets you know that just because they usually aren't on the front lines announcing everyone who they are and causing fights doesn't mean that they are weak. Rand is one of the few who could hold their own against them, and even with the Sangreal boosting her powers, Moraine was still struggling to take on Lanfear. Their power levels are high and there are fewer restrictions on what they can do, which the show does it great with visualizing and also helping the viewer understand why someone would want to join them. The Dragon Reborn is the topic on everyone's minds. Many want to control or kill him, and there are very few who are actually looking after him. Rand spends most of the season with the Aiel and learns about his past and goes through trials so he can formally announce he is the Kara Karn, who is destined to be both the destroyer of these people and the savior of those who survive the calamity he brings about. This understandably makes some people scared, and Lanfear tries to sow seeds of doubt within the clans by giving some dummy dragon tattoos. Swan is protecting his whereabouts secretly due to a pact made by her and Moraine, even though some members, or maybe only the blacks, want him still. The black Aja later is looking for a collar to actually control him, which they succeed in getting. Moraine seems to be helping him, but early in the season, she plans an attack with Lanfear to separate him from his friends so she can control him more while also trying to support him, which ends up getting Nynaeve very hurt because they don't realize that the other Forsaken also know where they are. It was interesting that her uncle cut down a tree selfishly, which started a war, and Rand's dad was killed opposing him, which shows that Rand and Moraine are more connected than I thought. This also makes me wonder what about Rand's mom, because we have seen her, but we don't know her connections. To me, this seems like something a member of the Blue Aja would be doing, since they are known for having spies and exerting influence, which she is trying to do with Rand. The planning of getting him alone shows how she has observed these people, his friends, and knows what path they would most likely choose, but also she's so set on helping him that she is willing to die to ensure he rises to power. Rand's close friends are the only ones who truly seem to care about him. While they separate at the beginning of the season, most are still doing things to help him. Egwene is the only one with him, considering they were in love before she saw him hooking up with Lanfear in his dreams. Even after this, she still tries to help him and reminds him constantly to find this balance within himself while using the One Power. In the first episode, when he uses it, she calls and calls for him to stop. Towards the middle of the season, she sees how easily he was able to stop a Forsaken, but how in the process he killed a little girl, and he tries to revive her, and he's using all of his power. Then at the end, she sees him pronouncing himself the Kara Karn and begs him to stop using the power, as it seems to be having a negative side effect before the screen goes black. I'm interested to see how he battles with the one power he has, and more, how his friends will attempt to help him. Speaking of his friends, they have been through a lot, and I'm glad they are finding their footing after being thrust into madness. Perrin is in the Two Rivers this season and is protecting them from the White Cloaks, whom I hate in the Trollocs. Egwene is obviously with Rand, but she is also learning how to dream walk and how to use that to her advantage. Nynaeve is still helping to find the Black Aja, but she still has a block that she has no clue how to remove until the finale when Leandrin tries to kill her and she figures out how to unblock her power. Elaine is trying to balance being the future queen of Andor and a Aes Sedai and decides she will be queen on her own terms and does not have the Aes Sedai ring as just jewelry, but will also learn to channel, but learns she must address a Forsaken that has manipulated her family. And Matt, who has always struggled, is dealing with voices in his head from blowing the horn and wants them to stop and meets an Eelfin who grants his wishes but says there is a price and almost dies, but also does not tell him that price. There's so much going on with them, which makes sense why they are all on separate journeys because there is just no way that they would be able to help Rand if they can't all get their own houses in order first. We go to some cool locations which really help expand this world. I'm always impressed when a show or movie can make an area filled with sand look so interesting, but they've managed to do it. Tanchico is a bustling city and reminds me of somewhere pirates will go to like catch a break or black market people to sell stuff. The two rivers are even beautiful, nestled in nature where they are constantly under attack, but they have some advantages. They constantly show us new places in the White Tower so we don't keep revisiting the same rooms. The colors really pop, which also shows how cool the outfits are this season and how much their respective Ajas influence them or what people wear to blend in. I feel like this season is an important improvement, especially over season one, where I felt like the outfits and the lighting and effects were lacking and made the show feel cheaper and duller, but not unwatchable. The show has constantly improved on this, especially with more characters being added, different ways of channeling, and new locations, and how to capture all of this and keep the viewer interested. One of the best uses is when they go to Ruinian, which is just gorgeous. Scary if you have to go through the trials, but from the outside, I was in awe just watching it. It just looks misty and like, I don't know, it was just beautiful. Even when Rand is going through history, it's cool to see locations and how they used to look versus what changed while learning about his ancestry, as well as a little bit more history about Lanfear prior to becoming Lanfear and what ended up happening, with the different characters that led to their present day in the Wheel of Time. The finale for this season saw more pieces falling into place, but also left so many questions that I need answered too. It reminded me that I still hate Leandrin after she launches Nynaeve into a lake or the ocean, and I can't wait for her downfall, but I am nervous now that she has the collars. We meet the Eelfin, who is through the red arch gate that Matt goes through, who silences the voices in his heads and gives him like this necklace. And I think that protects him from the one power, but also hangs him for some reason. We see Elida went through the same arches with the goal of being the Amerlin, which she is now, but we don't know what the cost is for both of them using the Ilfin's help. Lanfear interferes in Rand declaring himself the Kara Karn, which seems to split the Aiel support, and Rand displays his powers, but he seems to be losing control. Elida deposes Swan and confines in the others to sentence her to death and kills her, which Moiraine feels because of the oath that they took in a heartbreaking scene. I'm interested to see where sides will be drawn in the White Tower because I know the Aes Sedai aren't all going to be happy with how Elida won her throne. Perrin is with the White Cloaks to face justice or whatever that means, even though I prefer they all die because they suck. Elaine needs to figure out how to take out the Forsaken that is in her house, which I know will be hard. So many groups are going after Rand while he's gaining supporters, but they all have to figure out some different things, and the finale made me so excited to see how all of this is going to get resolved. My favorite part of the season was episode 7, which showed the Trolloc attack on the two rivers. It showed the amazing leadership of Perrin, who helped prep the town, and Alana, who found channelers who helped her to help the villagers out. There were plenty of times I was on the edge of my seat, like when Alana almost died and Patton Fane comes back after infiltrating the ranks of the White Cloaks and almost wins, but Perrin comes out on top. Unfortunately, Loyal sacrifices himself to sever the Waygate, which was a sad end for such a likable character, but also a fitting end because he seems like the one who would sacrifice himself for the greater good. Amon Valda comes back and, of course, goes after the ones that can channel. And he knows Alana, so he has his eyes set on her. But what he doesn't realize is that the two girls he's trying to protect, Bode and Eldrin, are the channelers. And he killed their mom because he thought that she was the channeler. So they light his butt on fire. And it was so pleasing to see because I have hated that man since season 1. In the end, Perrin agrees to turn himself in for killing the head White Cloak's father in exchange for their help with the battle, even though White Cloak's father deserved it. The townspeople are angry but respect Perrin's wishes, but do deem him Lord Perrin, which was lovely to see. I was on the edge of my seat the whole episode, and it was a great episode to not only cheer for the two rivers defending themselves, but also to see Perrin get over his guilt for accidentally killing his wife. The Wheel of Time just keeps getting better and better. The cast is amazing, and the story can be complicated, but you just have to buckle down and pay attention. I do think they should make longer seasons to flush more stuff out, but it's a minor issue. The way magic is shown here is cool, and there's a lot of it to keep you interested. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.